Hello everybody, good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here and to showcase our work. We're the cancer support team from Calderdale and Huddersfield NHS Trust in West Yorkshire. My name's Helen Jones, I manage the Macmillan Information and Support Service, and I'm joined by Nikki Hill, my colleague, who's Macmillan Prehabilitation Lead. We're also going to be including a couple of videos from patients. If you go on to the next slide, please. We have real pride in our work in CHFT, and though the pandemic has been a really challenging time, it's also given us a lot of opportunities to grow and develop our support. Today we want to share with you our passion for our patients and where we feel we've gone above and beyond, doing whatever it takes to provide the absolute best possible care and support for our patients and their families too. So we're going to have three sections to our presentation. I'm going to start with a short patient story that showcases our personalised support in the pandemic. Then we're going to talk about patient co-design, adapting and extending patient education and support in a virtual context. And then lastly, Nikki's going to talk about collaboration and sharing best practice. Next slide, please. So much of our award nomination was around the transition of our support to virtual support in the pandemic. However, our personalised support for patients has continued, working together to meet the varied needs patients present with, hence us starting with a patient story. This is about a 57-year-old man who was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and his consultant asked us to see him to help with housing. It transpired that heartbreakingly he'd been living in a shed on an allotment for 7 years. Our actions were to sort emergency accommodation. He was in a hostel that night. We helped with financial support, food, parcels, clothing, liaised with lots of community services. We also offered him prehab support to build his fitness so that he could get through chemotherapy and before major surgery. His feedback was that actually our support had restored his dignity and confidence. He said that as a black homeless man, he felt invisible, but now he felt he could talk to people as equals. And you can hear from him a bit more directly. If I could ask you to play the video, please. On the next slide, thank you.
What did the Macmillan team do to help you?
They helped me from being homeless, being skint, not much clothes, and food, because I was homeless for a good while before I was diagnosed. And they kept on helping still, you know what I mean?
Good. What difference did it make to you?
It turned my life totally around, you know what I mean? I didn't thought there's people like them around at all, you know what I mean? You hear of people, but you didn't know there's genuine people like that. I'm absolutely proud of what they've done and what they keep on doing. You know what I mean? My heart is really full of praises for them, honestly.
Good.
Thank you. We also asked his consultant for her feedback as well, and she said that this patient was facing 2 months of intensive chemotherapy and major surgery with curative intent, and I have no doubt his care would have been compromised if he'd had to go living in his previous circumstances. Helen and her team were completely dedicated to making sure the patient was being rehoused, applying for benefits, food parcels, helping him to reactivate his bank account and liaising with other community services. Helen and her team have not just made a difference to his medical care, but to his life. If this does not personify one culture of care, I don't know what does. So now we're going to move on to Rob, who's one of our patient reps, and this is really where we want to highlight our co-design, asking patients what is important to them from diagnosis to end of life. So Rob was diagnosed with cancer of the vocal cords in 2018, and since his treatment has ended, he's joined the team as a volunteer patient rep and has been a really active part of our cancer patient focus group. He's been active in terms of shaping the support provided to our patients, and here's a video of Rob giving some feedback about our co-production of the support we provide to cancer patients. If you could play the next video, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rob, and I've been a Macmillan cancer patient rep for almost 2 years now. One of the things that I value most about being involved within this excellent team is that I'm allowed to have a voice, and patients are also allowed to have a voice. They're all listened to without question, whether that patient's at the start of the journey, at the end and beyond. Every voice is important to this team. I've experienced myself where at the end of my journey I raised some questions and other patients raised similar questions, and we worked together to form the First Steps programme, which has proved invaluable to many. It proves to be a level of focus for people that have just been diagnosed, and in some cases has even been suggested to provide a light at the end of the tunnel at this tricky time for many, many people. The team also listens to patients and allows them to create focus groups, be involved in the focus groups and have representation. Support groups such as walk-in coffee groups, IHOP groups, and allow these to adapt and be continued virtually. They even allow the patient to have a voice on internal cancer boards, and at all times it's imperative for this team that the patient is heard, and it is my great pride to work with these people. This is one of the most excellent teams I've worked with throughout my entire life, and I'm always in debt to them for the dignity and the support that they give to patients at all stages of the cancer journey. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So Rob and our other patients were involved in lots of different developments to help patients feel more supported and informed to give them a better experience. First of all, they were involved in our First Steps programme, which was developed for newly diagnosed patients. And this was in response to feedback from patients that support was good at the end of treatment, but actually they wanted much more information and support earlier on in the journey. So that was originally face-to-face and then became virtual. The patients also recommended more support groups. They wanted more emotional support and to connect with peers in a similar situation. So we developed virtual support groups as a response to that. We also developed virtual Thinking Ahead, which our patients advocated, and this was a specific support and education programme for patients with incurable cancer and for their family members. We developed end of treatment virtual health and wellbeing events, which is a session where we added a clinical team session, and that was specifically in response to patient recommendations and patient feedback. Also, our patients were really involved in input to our new cancer app, which has been a huge success in our trust and is a new development for us. The team consulted with our patient focus group, Rob included, about how to deliver everything virtually in the pandemic. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Nikki, who's going to talk about collaboration and sharing best practice. Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks, Helen. So working together as a cancer support team, we brought together our Macmillan Information Service and the Prehab Service and came together with our patients. And this has been really central to the co-design, delivery and success of all our services and the support we offer. The sharing and developing of ideas both nationally and regionally and collaborating with acute and community services has supported the development of the Prehab Service. To make the transition from face-to-face, we've collaborated with our Trust IT team to successfully use Microsoft Teams platforms at the onset of the pandemic, and through collaboration with our Psychology and Information Governance teams, we developed consent and information sharing agreements to keep patients safe and confident online in a group appointment. Our First Steps Cancer programme was really successful face-to-face, and the transition to the virtual platforms enabled prehab and all the support we offer to continue, with really positive feedback from patients, carers and our staff. The success led to a showcase in our content and information regionally and nationally, and our other trusts have adopted it. We're now looking to develop First Steps with our ethnic minority patients and are working with representatives from our Pakistani community to gain a better understanding of their information needs on diagnosis and how best we can support this. Next slide, please. So as a team with our patients, we designed and developed the Thinking Ahead programme for patients with incurable cancer. And due to COVID, we then developed it virtually, and its success led to the coordination and delivery of a collaborative virtual Thinking Ahead programme. And this was between ourselves, Harrogate and Leeds, so that more patients had access to the support at a challenging time through the pandemic. This also enabled us to utilise staff expertise across the region. And we felt really passionate about the benefits and success. So we're sharing this across the Cancer Alliance footprint and also with other non-cancer services across our trust. We're one of 5 trusts nationally to pilot the IHOP programme. We had a real passion to deliver this, as understood the value and impact it had on our patients. Our facilitator saw patients flourish through the sessions, grow in confidence, and it instilled hope in their future. And from the pilot, our patient recommendations were included in the national recommendations for how the IHOP programme can be delivered further. We've also been part of NHS webinars to showcase the co-design of all our patient education programmes. Next slide, please. So it just goes to say, really, we hope this has given you the opportunity to see the pioneering work that we've done as a cancer support team, working together with our patients, leading the way to provide the best possible care and support for our patients and their carers. Even when times got challenging and we're faced with the pandemic, we strive to continue to offer as much support as we possibly can. Thank you all for listening.